I wondered what would podcast first. Your gateway or your cinema?
Yeah, welcome to the Nolan stuff. Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, what should we start with first? Dark Knight Rises or Logan?
We're starting with the freaking Dark Knight freaking Rises.
Of course.
It's gonna be full of shit fucking Bane.
I feel like he says that all the time.
Of course. It's funny, man. I guess
funny.
if we're getting straight into Bane, what a funny fucking voice.
Well,
Have we
before
done
we
an
get into the
intro?
film itself, I want to know a bit more about the relationship
Yeah.
that you both have with this film, because this film actually has a somewhat special place in my history with Nolan.
Relationship with this movie at all.
Like, when did you watch it? Did you watch it in the cinema? Did you watch it
I think
DVD?
I've
or what?
watched this movie one time before this, and I think
Whoa,
the day before
really?
yesterday, I watched it for the last time.
wow.
Yeah, I think I watched that movie for the last time. I have no reason to go back and rewatch this. Like, none. Other than, let's hypothetically say, we were doing a podcast about Nolan movies, and the requirement of that podcast is that we go and have to watch all of them. Then, in that specific circumstance, I guess I would have to watch this movie. Outside of those circumstances, if someone paid me a lot of money to watch all superhero movies, then I guess I would. But it would have to involve some sort of monetary benefit for me to go and do this again, because it's bad.
So you get no personal satisfaction from watching this film?
I actually derive personal satisfaction from the fact that I guess I will never make a movie to burn as much money for no reason whatsoever to tie up a trilogy that could have been quite easily summarized in a decent movie that wouldn't have actually taken too much work to make good. So I suppose in that light of having like the most amazing IP and doing two very good movies and then flopping horrendously, I guess I'll never do that. So yeah, that's my take on
I
it.
definitely have. I definitely have some
Although I
thoughts
say
on
all
that.
that, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's like
I was gonna say
it's weirdly watchable, which is strange. It's a weirdly watchable film. I will say that, but it's bad. But yeah, you two can crack on now.
Matt, you go next. What's your history with this
Yeah,
film?
I watched this in the cinema. I remember quite vividly. I watched it with my brother who hadn't seen The Dark Knight, so I had to be like, "That's Harvey Dent. They killed him." Yeah, I watched it at the cinema. I liked it a fair bit. I watched it quite a few times at home as well. I think probably between the ages of 12 and 14. Probably watched it like 3-4 more times. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's one of those movies where I associate it with being sick from school and like watching it at home, like in the middle of the day while I feel sick. So it's always got that negative association with it. But it's fine. It's a fine, okay movie.
Fair enough. So the reason why I said that this has quite a special place in my, like, if you like, relationship with Nolan, even though I've never met the guy, probably never will, is because this
Never say
is
never.
the first film of his that I actually watched in the cinema, and I think until
Really?
Oppenheimer, yeah, I think
guess
until
that would be the
Oppenheimer, this might have
same-
been
No, it's not
the
same.
only film of his I watched in the cinema, because I didn't watch Interstellar or Dunkirk
Didn't watch
or Tenet in the
Interstellar
cinema.
or Dunkirk. Damn, I'll say this about
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. I think I've seen maybe half of his filmography in the cinema.
Yeah, I'm really jealous of that fact, because like I do keep thinking that seeing his films in cinema would be especially good, but unfortunately, yeah, saw this one. This is the first one, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that Oppenheimer is the only other film of his that I've actually seen in the cinema, because I think around that age I'd watch films, I'd like talking about them, but I wasn't someone who was always on the lookout for films by particular directors. Like if a film that I happen to come across by watching a trailer or hearing somebody talk about it came up, I'd go and see it. But I wasn't the kind of person who would be actually looking out for the next Tarantino film or the next Nolan film, that kind of thing. And I think by the time Tenet came out, I was. But when I heard the premise of time travel, I remember thinking, "Oh, screw that! I won't watch it in the cinema." But again, I regret that now. But no,
Yeah, same. I watched
actually,
them all though. I think.
Yeah,
Like from 2012 onwards, I think I've seen them all in the cinema. Yeah.
yeah, and that is the way to do it. To be fair, and I cannot wait for his next one, which is either about helicopter pilots, vampires, or who knows. Story keeps
Bit of
changing every
both.
week.
Vampire helicopter pilots.
Is that actually
Is there
true?
a new Mark Wahlberg movie about him being some sort of like assassin pilot? He's a pilot, and it turns out he's an assassin, and there's only 2 people on the flight. Anyone seen that?
I think you might have dreamed
It
that.
exists. Might have dreamed that, really. Okay, well, I'm going to find the
Maybe.
movie now.
But yeah, I remember when I watched this film in the cinema. I remember thinking, I think I liked it, but I do remember thinking that it was a step down from The Dark Knight, and I do remember feeling a little bit let
It's called
down by
Flight
it
Risk.
for a few weeks afterwards. And
Fake movie.
I think since then,
You
similar
liar.
to you, Matt, I've
It's
probably
not
seen
real.
it something like 4 or 5 times afterwards. I'm not too sure.
You've
But-
seen this movie 5 fucking times.
Yeah, same.
Probably, but
How?
because
How
I
is that
would
even
because
possible?
I'd watched through the Dark Knight trilogy and I'd watched the first 2 and I think, well, I can't just
Yeah.
leave the third one.
Yeah, that's
But-
understandable. I think
But
in
I think-
terms of... Go on.
Well, one thing I was going to say was that I think watching the film this time round, I've had a notably different experience of watching this film versus all the previous occasions, which I will get into when we actually start getting into the meat of the film, or lack thereof. Because, like, particularly the ending, I remember I used to find the ending quite moving when, he dies and you hear
Spoiler alert.
Gordon reading out the eulogy. Yeah, spoiler alert. Where you hear him reading out the eulogy, and there's that sort of montage of clips, and I don't know. I used to find that really moving, and for some reason, when I watched it this time round, I just felt nothing. Like I remember there was like a slight stir when Alfred's crying, and then they very like conveniently block the graves of Bruce's parents. Then he suddenly turns to them and says, "I failed you." And I thought that was like a little bit stirring, but
Do the
beyond
voice.
that. Do the voice.
Do the
No, I
crying
can't.
Alfred voice.
I can't do the crying. No, I can't do the crying Alfred voice. It's just too disrespectful. But yeah, I don't know. Like this time, like this viewing, this time round, I just felt nothing. Like it was it was a very emotionless experience.
Okay.
Like there were a few moments that I think stood out, and I think I've said it before, but I watched this on Blu-ray, and there are so many IMAX shots. I think it's really nice to look at in parts, but I think there are very few occasions where I actually thought, "Oh, like I'm emotionally stirred by this." It was just very, yeah, that film happened.
Okay, fair enough. I thought I like some parts of, like I said, the movie is really weirdly watchable. It's bad, but you can sit down and watch the whole thing, and and not feel bored. I'll say that.
Yeah, and it didn't drag, even though this is the longest of the 3.
It doesn't drag, no, because a lot of things go on. I think one thing we'll probably have to give Nolan is his ability to force a story through, even if it kind of
Good
thematically
pacing.
makes no real sense. Yeah, I suppose good pacing. So a lot of things.
I will
happen
say
in
though,
this film.
weird editing. I noticed. Did anyone
Yeah,
else
it's always
notice in
weird
this
editing.
film?
Memento was
Yeah, but
weirdly edited as well.
No, but I mean, there's so many points where like it feels like someone was gonna say something else, but it just cuts like early.
It just cuts. Yeah.
Like, it's so weird, especially at the beginning. I don't know.
I think just in terms of him moving through the plot really quickly. There's a lot of big plot points, and my favourite of which is the hole in the ground that Bane turns into his personal prison. It's just like, to me, Bane finds Batman, he throws him in this hole, and then Batman gets out the hole.
Yeah, that's the best bit of the movie.
He just climbs out the hole, and that is cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like an interesting thing just to throw in there. It is interesting, and it is like, I do symbolically understand what it's going for, but it's very vapid.
Yeah, this film doesn't feel like it has as much of a point as like The Dark Knight. While it is like probably as political plot-wise.
Ben, do you think this movie was more or less political than The Dark Knight?
So I actually made notes on this because I noticed that Bane would make various comments like,
Anarchist.
the next era of Western civilization. And then he'd go on to talk about how Blackgate Prison was a symbol of oppression and yada yada. And yeah, I think in a funny kind of way, I think the political side of this film is actually a lot more on the nose than The Dark Knight.
It's so
but
on
at
the
nose. But at the
It's
same time, it's
aggressively
kind
on
of...
the nose.
But at the same time, it actually felt like what you said, Matt, which was that it felt like it had less of a point to it, even though it was a lot more obvious that, you know, he's painting like Bane, you know, as an anarchist, really.
Yeah,
And
this is interesting. I've wanted to talk about this for a while, like how a movie can best explore a theme, and what it means to sort of drive home some sort of thematic understanding to the audience, because it's just not as simple as have this man speak on being an anarchist, and having literally police underground and letting
anarchist?
prisoners out of a prison cell. What Bane is Bane
like,
an anarchist? He's
just trying to kill everyone.
Jail, says we're going to overthrow.
Yeah, but he's lying
here.
Is the whole point is that he's appropriating the class struggle.
He's technically not lying, because he is a member of the League of Shadows, and their entire
his goal is not to liberate the poor; it's to blow up the whole city and kill everyone inside it.
No, but he would have just done that. No, because he could have just done that in the stadium. He could have just done that there. That's not.
But he wants to give them hope. He said it. He wants to give them the hope before he kills them all. He literally says this in the film.
Yeah, he does.
He literally says it. He says, "This is what I'm doing to you, Bruce Wayne, and I'm going to go do it to the city as well." And then he goes and says,
maybe that's the reason why maybe that's the reason why I didn't think it was, if you like, as political as The Dark Knight, because it's not as if Bane's motivation is to install anarchy because he himself is an anarchist. I guess it is because he just wants to, you know, like dangle that bit of hope before Gotham, before eventually destroying them.
It's so weird, though.
It just seems so it's so stupid. Like, exactly, because if you want to destroy Gotham, why didn't you just do it there and then? And, you know, I think this is a problem with this film, which is that it feels quite contrived in the sense that Gotham,
very stupid.
What is it? I think, so from the moment the core is from the moment the core is removed from the reactor, what is it? They have 5 months before the city blows up. 5 months, and I don't know, like maybe, you know, Nolan loves his physics. Maybe he consulted Kip Thorne at the Institute of Technology of California, or was it California Institute of Technology, whatever. And then he wants to make it as scientifically accurate as possible, so the 5 months was the actual number. But I think what's more likely is that he just needed 5 months for Bruce Wayne to recover from his back injury, escape the pit, come back and save the day with Gotham. And I don't know, it just felt like there was a lot of waiting around so that you could have this kind of epic climax between Batman and Bane. And I don't know, it just felt like a bit of a dud. Like, you know, when you see the cops running towards like the goons, I don't know, it just didn't I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me.
When the cops goon in the street.
Yeah.
Sorry, when the cops are running towards the goons.
When the cops are gooning and running. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Anyway, so when the gooning cops goon and and Mog and Edge Max. No, yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I agree with you completely, though. It's just dumb. It's it's just dumb. Yeah, you're right.
Those gooners are really stupid. Oh, if only they knew.
Is that a bit propaganda, do we reckon? What do we reckon about this being propaganda?
Who gives a shit is the actual answer to that question. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. I watched this movie and it just seemed like people like here's how it went in my head. The movie starts, Anne Hathaway's there, she steals something. And then Michael Caine is like, you need to get back out there. You need to have some sex. That's what you need to do. You need to go find yourself a lady. And then we need to go to Paris and not tell each other. And we need to go to a cafe and not tell each other. And then I want to see you. And then I want you to see me. And then we will say nothing. And then we'll all be happy. And then Batman becomes Batman again after seeing Morgan Freeman about his leg. And then it's just like, and then this, and then this, and then this. There's no, it doesn't revolve it feels... around any central function or anything like that. It is really weird. Was this written by Jonathan Nolan?
Yeah, but it's the same team as The Dark Knight.
It's the same credits.
Because so that team is a good team. We know that that's a good team, right? I just don't. I guess sometimes. Is there any backstory to why this film was so much worse than The Dark Knight?
This is something that I wanted to discuss with the two of you because I've not really looked into this film that much. But whenever I've seen snippets of interviews or like read stuff about it, it's not as if there are people coming out saying, "Oh yeah, nobody wants to be on the set." Like I think when you hear people's accounts of this film, it's not as if people think that there was a bad atmosphere on this film set. I don't know what it was. Maybe
come from the fact that it's the hardest thing in the world to make and construct a narrative on film.
I just don't think their heart was in it. Like for real, I just don't think.
I agree.
All right, here's a question for you. Do you think that without Heath Ledger's acting in The Dark Knight, it would have been remotely as great as it currently is? Do you think Heath Ledger might have actually carried that to transcend?
He didn't carry it. He did not carry it. I think it might push it over the edge, but I think another person could have given as good a performance. So I don't think he carried it, and he's in it for 15 minutes. Like it's compelling because it all works so well.
Yeah. And Haroon, I think the point you made about how this film, it was more like, oh, Anne Hathaway steals this. Alfred says, go and get some sex. Then he goes to Fox to sort out his leg.
Go and get some sex.
Yeah. It's like the thing is, like, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, which is that it is plotless. Like, you're watching it and you're thinking, oh yeah, they do this, then they do this, because they happen to bump into people.
It's just plot. And this is maybe the problem that, in terms of where my enjoyment of film comes from, is that if you just keep doing plot, that's what makes it watchable, to be fair. We like watching something happen, big incident, resolve incident, big incident, resolve incident, over and over again. And as long as those incidents are building up and up and up and up, then you get like a really nice big payoff.
I will say, I was pretty compelled in the first
Goon and Edge,
three.
Goon and Edge, and Goon and Edge, and then eventually you Edge Max.
Yeah. I will say I was pretty compelled for the. I'm not cutting that out. I think this is Ben's episode, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
God.
Yeah, I was pretty compelled for the first 3/4 of this film, and I think it just lost me in the end. And I can't even really pinpoint why. I just feel like I don't even know. Once Batman gets out of the pit, I'm just like, all right.
There's a lot of fluff, is what it is. Like Anne Hathaway's character.
Yeah, possibly.
Is just, you could remove all of her scenes completely, and it's a shorter, arguably.
I like her though, but you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I think Anne Hathaway is actually really good. We
like seeing her being on screen. She's just got good screen presence.
She's got some funny lines. I was going to say about the funniness of this film when she's like, no one told me it was uncrackable. I was like, that's a good fucking joke, guys.
I liked it when she's in the bar.
Nobody told me it was uncrackable.
and she what was it? I think she obviously has just punched up a bunch of goons. And,
Goons.
Yeah. Why do you keep laughing at goons? That's just goons, isn't it?
Do you know what
Don't
gooning is?
don't.
What is gooning?
Go on Reddit and type in r/goon cave.
Okay.
Don't do
Maybe I
that.
will.
Don't do that now.
Okay, I'm just gonna say henchman from now on. So yeah, when
Say
she beats up the
goons.
head.
No,
Yeah, say
no,
goon.
no. Say please. The goons.
So you know when she beats
Sorry,
up
where were
the.
you? You were talking about the goons.
You're gooning over
So you know
here.
when she beat.
This is the
Okay,
mark
so
of a
you-
good movie podcast right here.
You know when she beats up the goons in the bar, and
Yes.
the cops come in, and they haven't witnessed the
yeah.
fact that she's able to do all these super duper acrobats, and she just suddenly
she starts,
turns around and starts
screaming.
crying. Yeah, I think that's really funny. I think it's quite funny
Yeah,
how she's
she's good.
cashing in on that
But it's
preconceived
just
opinion of the cops.
nonsense. Her whole thing is nonsense. She doesn't need to be there. You can cut that
Yeah,
out.
she
It's the
doesn't
same
need to be
film. You can cut
I
out
also
the prison,
wasn't.
same
I wasn't
film.
convinced by the
Like,
romance
I think
between her and
a
Bruce
good, what
Wayne.
would have been. Shall we try and rewrite the movie right now a little bit? We can spitball better ideas. I genuinely think we could do that. I think
I'm
if you
not
cut out
interested.
Hathaway's thing,
so
and you cut out the
th-
hole
th-
in the ground, and you just
th-
focus
this
on
is
literally
something-
like Alfred.
The hole in the ground is
and
the best
Al-
bit.
No,
And it's a
this
good
is
character
something-
arc for Bruce. That's why I
That
liked
could be
it.
an
This is something that I
episode in a
really
spin-off TV
wanted
show,
to explore with you two. So we obviously know about legacy sequels like Top Gun, then Top Gun Maverick, then you had the Hustler, and then The Color of Money. Is it called The Hustler?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Matt really
you
likes
obviously
that,
have.
The Color of Money.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
that. But it's fun.
I haven't seen either of them, but I've heard that The Color of Money is a very good follow-up to it. And
It's awesome.
I guess what I was wondering was, do you think it would have been better if Nolan didn't make this film and say 20 years in the future, when you have, an older like Christian Bale, obviously Alfred would have passed by then, but do you think it would have been a lot cooler if they actually came back and did a legacy sequel than do it 4 years later? Because I couldn't help but think that when I was watching this film, because even though there were some really impressive parts to it, like the oh yeah, we haven't even mentioned it actually. You know that
They were
opening
signed
scene
up
when
for a
they
trilogy,
do the
I
plane
think.
heist?
It was a money
I thought
thing.
that was really cool.
I didn't think so.
Plane Haste fine. I wish I did see it in the IMAX ratio because I watched it on Sky and it was just letterboxed the whole time. Yeah, I mean it was
I thought
alright,
you were
man.
saying that you thought the IMAX flipping back and forth was annoying. I didn't realize in that message you meant
No, it just didn't have
that
IMAX.
you didn't get
no.
IMAX. Okay, the IMAX definitely made it a lot nicer. And in fact, I think, I don't know about the proportion, but a lot more of this film was shot on IMAX than the Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
it was.
And it was really nice to see. But the problem was that because of how good it is when it's shot on IMAX, whenever you'd go back to the standard letterbox format, it just looked really shit by comparison. And there was something really dodgy about the frame rate as well. But when it was on IMAX, it looks like creme de la creme.
Really, I didn't notice anything
But
about
I
the
don't
frame
think it was
rate.
enough to save it.
Yeah.
I found
have
this
you
a
watched
really
Nope,
uninteresting.
Ben?
Sorry.
Have you watched Nope, Ben?
I have seen Nope. Yeah.
That is about IMAX, apparently. It's about.
Is it shot on IMAX?
Okay,
no,
funny
but
you
there's-
say that
no,
because
it's-
that is
it's-
the only
it is
film I've
shot in
actually ever
IMAX.
seen in an IMAX cinema.
Yeah.
What? The
the
only?
movie's about like perspective.
Yeah, because well, you
and
got to remember, I live in the
filming.
middle of nowhere, so
Yeah,
I just
I
happened to
guess
watch
so.
it when I happened to be visiting Manchester.
I guess I'm yet to notice the difference. Really, my eye's not very trained.
It's just
Maybe.
Yeah, it depends. No, I mean you haven't been watching it.
Because could you
with the IMAX.
seriously right now describe to me the difference between
Harun,
IMAX
Harun.
and something?
The frame is like this for most of the movie, and then when it's in the IMAX camera, it's like this. It's bigger. It's just bigger.
Is that it?
Well, no, but that's not just it. Like, it's bigger, but
That's
it's also
because we're watching it
the
with
resolution's
two-
so much higher.
Yeah, it's higher. It's like 8K or it's probably more. I don't even fucking know. But
All right.
It's hard to explain
I
without
will
actually
say
showing it. But
this.
if I watched a film with you, and so the reason why I keep raving about Blu-ray recently
I'm so
is because
bored by the IMAX conversation we're having. You have no idea. I really wish this would stop. I really wish this would stop. I truly mean it. Can we move on, please? I don't care. I don't. But maybe other people do. So you know what? Let's do a vote. If you'd like this conversation to keep going, I say no.
I'm not saying that we should keep talking about this because the only way in which you can actually tell the difference is by just actually watching it on Blu-ray or 4K Ultra HD. But honestly, give it a watch and you will notice the difference. And I'd be very surprised if you would still be meh about it. It's definitely worth buying Blu-ray for.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you think about the score? Because I think this film's score is actually potentially the best out of all three of them, and I really like the chant that they do when he's climbing the pits.
Yeah, the Bane theme's cool, like that chant, but like for the rest of it, it just seems sort of like, more of the same as we've heard before in the previous two. Like it's just the same themes again. I only really noticed the chanting.
All right, should we wrap this up then? Move on to the better movie, please.
No. I got more to say. I think part of the reason I soured on this film a lot as I watched it more back when I was young. I've got here, I hate Ben Mendelsohn and his little friend. Both of their faces are so fucking annoying and ugly. Also, for real, a little diversity would go a long way. I think part of the reason I used to hate this film is I cannot tell who is who, because they all are just some fucking no lips, like sniveling little fucking dickheads in suits. I'm just like they're just so annoying to look at. They're so annoying. Do you know who I'm talking about? Ben Mendelsohn and his other friend.
And Bernd Gorman.
They look the same. They look the fucking same.
I don't know. I think Bernd Gorman's got a very...
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn has a long face. He's got a wide face. But they just... I don't know who they are. Which one of them is the CEO?
Yeah, exactly. In the movie, it does not matter who they are. They are, again, Anne Hathaway characters. They don't need to be there. They're as meaningless to the plot as she was and can be cut out as easily as she could be. But I do like, not Ben Mendelsohn, the other guy. What's his name? Gorman.
And Gorman? Well, he played Owen in Torchwood, if either of you watched Torchwood.
I've seen him in things. He has a very, very distinct and sharp and scary... I'm going to say it. He's got a Nazi face.
He does have a Nazi face. That's dead on.
It's a serious Goebbels face. Anyways, yeah.
Just explain to me what is meant by a Goebbels face. Like, what is it about his face that makes him look like him?
I think I just don't know. It's one of those things. I look at him and he tells me...
belongs in a leather...
that
SS
I belong
uniform.
Somewhere else.
To be fair, now that you say it, I can
actually... Gorman.
I can actually see him...
Also, crazy name. Burn Gorman. Fuck.
That's not a name, is it?
That is not one of the names, surely.
There's a movie called Psycho Gorman.
Psycho Gorman.
Yeah, it's pretty.
You know that
funny.
film that you suggested that we watch instead of
Watcher? He's
yes,
starring Burn Gorman. Yeah.
He is in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess we're not going to watch that film anymore. So, oh well.
We had another visit from our Peaky Blinder friend, who we will see again in later episodes of this. And he plays the judge, jury, and executioner. And I must say, I sentenced this movie to exile. And if the movie chooses death, I will choose the movie to be subject to death by exile.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that's a really funny moment.
I've got another funny thing written in my notes. I find this movie really ugly. And I've written, someone needs to buy Christopher Nolan the Logan Paul glasses that cure color blindness. Because
I don't understand why they keep putting Bane in such shit outfits.
Yeah,
not nice outfits.
Do you know what Bane's like in the comic?
Probably the coolest and scariest man of all time.
I actually respect what they did with Bane's character, because I'm glad they
I don't know
didn't go
why
for
they
a
did it.
supernatural direction, as in why they included Bane and not otherwise.
I just don't know why they
something
changed it in the way that they did. Like,
What's changed it from what? Tell me about the original Bane, please. I'm interested.
He's
all I really know
mega
about
jacked
him.
up on steroids.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to do that, but he's like Latin American, and he's like a genius. And I guess that's the same thing.
I didn't know
it's
that.
just such.
Yeah.
I mean, he wears a luchador mask. Like, it's really important to the fucking, like, at least the visual
he's like a
aspects
wrestler.
of the film. Yeah, he wears like the mask. I don't know what his origin is. I don't know much about him. I just know him from like I haven't read any Bane
I wish
comics.
we had like a little comic book expert. That would have been good for this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, but it's just weird, man. It's just like just such a strange change. Just to be like, oh yeah, he's actually Middle Eastern, but he's also British, and his face is like ripped apart, and that's why he wears a mask, and it's just numbing his pain.
I will say this about Bane. When I watch him, I am scared of him. I will say that.
Yeah.
He's
very
scary,
physical. It's a great
fucking-
physical performance from Tom Hardy.
Yeah, for
Really
sure.
good.
I think that fight with Batman actually is probably one of the saving graces of this movie. It's fucking
Both of them.
brutal. He is a scary, scary, scary person. And yeah, I just think that he would snap me in half like a twig with his left hand and Goon with his right hand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they do showcase his ferocity pretty well, and he actually does make Batman look mortal as well.
I like him as well when Michael Caine is watching like the YouTube video of Bane just fucking people up. He's like,
Yeah.
look at this guy. Look how fast he is. Looks fucking furious.
His speed,
You
his
haven't got the
ferocity.
ferocity.
Yeah.
I love
There's
the
something
I love
else
the
as
fight
well.
Joe Rogan commentary from Michael Caine with Tom Hardy being an absolute brute. It's sick. And I just like it every time he snaps someone's neck. It's so fucked.
Yeah.
Like he goes into the stock market exchange, just walks over to someone, just snaps it like a
Glenn
twig.
Powell. It's Glenn Powell, guys.
Yeah, it's
That's
Glenn Powell. That's
Is
Crazy.
so
it?
funny.
Hang on.
That
hang
is
on.
Yeah.
so crazy. That's Glenn Powell.
I've got that written down as well, and I've always remembered that guy's
Oh.
shirt for some reason. I've always just been like, that's a weird shirt. The blue shirt with a white collar. Shout out Glenn
You know,
Powell.
when he slams his head down on the desk, apparently that actually was a real slam down. And
Shit.
Oh,
I think-
crazy.
yeah. And I think that was the first take they did. And I think Christopher Nolan asked him, "Oh, do you mind if we do it again?" And obviously Glenn Powell, who at times he's like a budding actor, he's not going to say no. He says, "Yeah, sure." He says, "Don't worry, we're not going to do it again." It's just so we can. But yeah, no, that's crazy.
Can we do
That's
9
Glenn
more
Powell
takes
from
of Tom
2012.
Hardy slamming your head into the desk, please, Glenn Powell? I suppose after like the 4th or 5th time, it would get easier because you'd start to lose feeling, wouldn't you? All right, we can move on.
I got another funny
do you have
note.
anything else to say? Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, these are just like jokes I'm writing on my phone basically while I'm watching the movie. Alfred tells Bruce Wayne that Rachel moved on, and Bruce Wayne proceeds to fuck the next woman who speaks to him.
Oh yeah. I didn't notice that before, actually.
Also, can I just
Fair.
say, with the pit, really fucking easy to escape that. If anyone noticed how simple that would be. Anyone notice
Why?
how simple that would be to escape? No?
No.
You would just throw something. So you'd climb up to where that ledge was, where everyone seems to die from, where they seem to be getting pretty high up, and then you would just throw over an anchor.
What?
You do what?
You'd have
Throw
to
over an anchor?
an anchor, so something to anchor up and then fasten down, and then you would just be able to climb that.
Well, have
There are
you got
about
an anchor?
1,000 different ways to get out of this hole. It's a very easy hole to get out of.
All right, mate.
Rope you
I'd
don't
like to see you
long,
try.
I think I could easily escape that hole.
Okay.
Fair enough. I actually
The
want to
Goon
know where
hole.
they filmed
The Goon
that.
Cave.
Yeah. Oh, it's the Goon Cave. Yeah. Ben, how would you escape the Goon Cave?
Edge Max.
I'm so sorry, Ben. All right, move.
I-
move
I-
Can
on.
we talk
sorry,
about?
I-
Yeah,
I
it's
really
My
have no
final
idea what
point
you're
on
talking
this. My final point on this is can we talk about the Nolan dick riding, right? As a phenomenon. This has An 8.4
Yeah.
on IMDb.
8.4. I
With
did
like
not know
over
that.
1 million logs. It's probably on the IMDb top 250. That's insane, right? This is by no
I
stretch
am
of the
surprised.
imagination in the top 250 movies of all time.
8.4. 8.4.
Is that not crazy?
The thing
That
is,
is
the first time I saw this
crazy.
film, I probably would have given it something like an 8 out of 10. Because, and like I said, on
Same.
many of the reviewings,
I would
I
probably give it a
did
7.
find the ending really moving. But I actually can't work out why I didn't find that moving this time round.
It's
Like,
so crazy to me.
Well,
this is
you
a
know it's
Nolan
fake
film.
out. Like, you probably know it's a fake out, and you've seen it a million times. Like, I get what you mean. I did
maybe,
also used to find a movie.
maybe.
It is mental to me that he can make something as subtle and intricate and emotional and perfect as The Prestige, and then he can make this facile, vapid, like 19-year-old attempt at turning.
I don't
old
think it's that
superhero
bad.
comics cool.
I think if I
I don't think
describe
it's that
this film
bad
in one
either.
word, it would just be fine. And I think the reason why
Yeah.
we're being
I just don't
pretty
know how
harsh
you
on it
can
is
make The Prestige and make this. How do you make these two?
Well, like,
How does that happen? Money.
But
money.
I think it's like what Matt
it's
said
money,
earlier.
and he
I
was
think
probably he had to make another
I
Batman
think
movie.
he just lacked heart. I
Yeah.
think in this
Yeah.
one, like I know you like saying that Nolan does lack heart.
I think
and
he
usually I
tried
do
still.
completely disagree with it, but I think with this one he does lack heart. Like it just doesn't strike me as a film that he
I
was.
don't know if it's lacking heart. I think it just his heart wasn't in it. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think he had too. He
Yeah,
wasn't too
sorry, I
interested
think
in
that's
making
right.
it. He didn't have a song to sing in his heart like he did with
Yeah.
The Dark Knight.
He
And that's
sung
one
it-
reason
exactly,
why I
he
really
tried
would
to
want to have
re-sing.
seen them leave it and then just come back something like 20 years later, if he wanted to, of course, and then just do a legacy sequel. Because I think that would have been really cool to have like a wise, sort of haggard old Batman, and I don't know, somebody else like taking his place, and I don't know, or maybe a legacy
Oh my God, we haven't
sequel,
even
any
talked
sequel at
about
all didn't
Robin.
need to happen.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
That was
Joseph
all
Gordon.
bad.
Fucking hell! Why bother? Why do that?
Again,
Why the
take
hell
him
would
out.
do
You could
that?
take him out. You could take his whole thing out. It wouldn't change anything.
No, I like the
What a
part at the
weird
end
thing.
because it reminds you that Batman's actually a symbol rather than just an individual person. So I actually quite
I'm a
like that part at the
symbol.
end still.
He's not just a man. I am the Dark Knight. Stupid ass voices. What the fuck is wrong with Nolan? Why did he tell Christian Bale to do that in the first place? And why did Bane sound like that for 2 hours?
Well, I think they've redubbed all of
Whose
Bane's.
choice was that?
They
Lines.
definitely did. Like, and when you heard him speak, like it was like the volume was way up. You can tell that was
Yeah,
done
it's a weird thing.
like after
really
production.
badly mixed. It's like simple things.
My
Strange.
final note. It's pretty rude of like it's really genuinely inhumanely rude of Bruce Wayne to let Alfred think that he's dead after Alfred explicitly said to him, "I can't bury another Wayne." What a dickhead. Just send him an email. I'm gonna fake my death. You nasty man. That's your dad. He raised you. Fucking hell.
Uh,
It's rude.
Master Wayne, please don't.
I don't know,
fake your death.
I think given the situation, you could argue that he didn't really have the time to communicate to him. And to be
He
fair,
could
He
have
didn't have the
Arthur.
time. He didn't have the time. He has technology that can get into every smartphone on the planet and use it as sonar. So he's in
You can't
omnipotent
text
deity.
Alfred.
He
You
could have
can't
sent
text
Alfred,
Alfred from a
text.
random number. Don't worry.
oh yeah, I
No,
guess it could be.
We'll
a
go to
random number.
Paris instead, like
No,
you
but,
said.
Yeah.
but I like the fact that he goes to the cafe in Florence and
Fuck
so
that
he
bit.
remembers.
Stupid
So he
ass shit.
remembers that part. Like I think I do actually quite like that part still,
That's
but it doesn't
rude as
move
well.
me anymore.
Yeah.
Eh,
Go talk to him.
They're both men who aren't very expressive, like emotionally, and
Alfred's pretty expressive.
Alfred
as
is
is
very
Nolan, I think.
expressive. Christian Bale was very expressive. They're both very expressive in this trilogy.
Christian Bale, especially in these films, is a lot more stoic. And yeah, Alfred is more expressive, but they're not.
Actually, yeah,
they're
no,
not the.
I would say Christian Bale is,
but
no,
but
they
the
show a lot of color in this.
But there's in the relationship between the two of them. It's not like they see each other after a long time and like have like a warm embrace. Like it's very much like Master Wayne, Alfred, and then they'll just move on. And I think, given that's the nature of their relationship, I don't mind that ending. I think it does suit them pretty well, I'd say.
Go give your fucking dad a hug,
scene.
you prick. All right, I'm ready to move
I don't
on.
mind that ending still. Yeah, we definitely need to move on. I think there's a lot more to say about Logan, to be honest.
Logang.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't want to talk about when they first saw this movie. Should I go first? I'm going to go first. The day it came out.
Yeah, you go first.
And then 2 days later. And then...
Whoa.
And then I bought the Blu-ray and then watched it 5 more times in both colour and black and white.
Have you ever seen it in black and white? I've heard that's an option on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, so I tell you in the group chat.
That would be so good.
In the group chat, literally halfway through, I've watched it before and it was sick, but then halfway through I was watching it in colour and my disc started jumping and I was like, fuck it, I guess I'm finishing this in black and white. So from when Professor X get queffed up by X-24 onwards, I watched it in black and white and it looks better. When I was watching it, I was like, do you know what, it's not that visually interesting, but in black and white it looks cool. Sort of cheating, but yeah.
Okay.
I think I just want to get quite quickly to the meat and potatoes of why we're doing these two movies together and signing off two superheroes.
Oh yeah,
in entirely different fashions.
Yeah, mainstream movie, a weird pick for us, but we just needed to do it.
Yeah, it is a mainstream movie. Sorry, guys, but it is definitely a perfect choice, seeing as both of these films are signing off a franchise essentially, but not really a franchise. They're signing off a character or a version of the character. We do indeed ignore Deadpool. We are not including that. But yeah, this movie, it really does. It has the heart, I think, that Nolan missed when he tried to sign off his Dark Knight trilogy. You're saying no. Are you saying Logan doesn't have the heart? Is that what you're saying?
We'll get onto this when we get onto the meat, but I do have issues with this film as well.
Really?
I do have issues with this.
Right,
and we wait, did you want to tell us first about your history of this film? Like, when did you see it? Yada yada.
Yeah, I watched it in the cinema, like Matt, and then I watched it again in the cinema like a week later. And then I watched it again at home, and I've watched it over the years, and I've just thought that, man, this is good. This is perfect. It's to end the story of Hugh Jackman's run as the Wolverine, and to do it in such an incredibly perfect way, and for the movie to be like it's the last movie, and it's just almost by far the best X-Men movie there is.
I would agree.
It is so fucking good, and the action is perfect. They basically made it like a 15. Is this a 15? I think it is a 15.
Yeah.
It's really brutal, and and also one more thing. So there is a trope nowadays where they will bring in a younger superhero and put them together with an old superhero, and they'll say, bang, here's the movie, here's the dynamic, they're cute, they're going to have a good time. And that dynamic generally, I think it does work occasionally, but it does seem slightly, we use the word contrived, even though I don't really know what that means, but it doesn't really work in other occasions. For instance, like with The Mandalorian, does feel a bit pandery. It's like, oh, it's just pandering. It's just a baby Yoda. That's cute, isn't it? Isn't that cute? Let's all watch this and think that's cute. Mm-hmm. But with this movie, with Logan, there is a huge purpose to like the juxtaposition between Logan, the Wolverine, the dead man, and what his like viciousness used to be embodied into this younger like daughter figure for him. And it works so well, seeing as this is the last movie and they're wrapping things up, to have those sorts of forces work together, because it like reminds you of how exciting it was. And obviously Logan reminds you relentlessly of how this is it, this is the end. But I don't know, there's still some sort of hope, some sort of light there that we can still enjoy. But it's a fucking sad film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It
Yeah,
really
sad.
is.
So I actually want to go a few steps back. So before I watched the film, I watched both of those trailers, and I, honest to God, think that those two
The
trailers,
Logan trailers.
one of them, the Logan trailers. So one of them featuring "Hurt" by Johnny
Yeah.
Cash, and the other featuring "Way Down We Go" by Kaleo. I don't know who they are, but those two trailers, I remember watching them and thinking, "Wow, like this film looks insanely good."
I think that
And
Hurt trailer is possibly the best trailer ever made, possibly ever.
I agree. Like of all the trailers I've seen, that is the one that has captivated me the most. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I've rewatched that trailer so many times. Like I have actually lost count of how many times I've watched it. It's that good. And with that in mind, and the fact that I did like the X-Men films, I was really, really looking forward to this film in the cinema. I watched it in the cinema, not the day it came out. Like I wasn't that dedicated, but I watched it in the cinema, and yes, it was sad. I did find it moving, but I do remember thinking it's not quite got everything that I think a send off for Wolverine deserved. And here's my theory, and I did have this inkling last time I watched it.
Okay, come on, Haroon.
And
Be
this-
open-minded. Be open-minded. He's gonna diss my X-Men movie. He's gonna diss my favorite
No,
X-Men movie.
I'm not going to shit on it because it, like, first of all,
Please don't.
it's not a bad film, but my problem with it is that it just could have been, it just could have had more emotional oomph for me. And the issue I have,
Really?
Fucking hell.
it's the music. The music
The
is
music.
really,
I like the
really
music,
dull.
man.
No,
I've got a
I
note
find it
about
so
liking the
dull.
music.
Nah, so I think there were a number of moments in this film when, and I think the reason why I mentioned the trailer is because I thought the trailer integrated music into it so well. I think this film could have done with a couple of needle drops, maybe just one, or maybe just a general score that was actually good.
I love the music. I really like the music in this film.
I think it's really dull. I think it's barely, it really isn't memorable, and this is why I think that, you know, like I think as uneventful as The Dark Knight Rises was, I think what I liked about it was the fact that you still had a really good score by Hans Zimmer, and I think seeing these two films and contrasting them just hammered home the point to me just how important music is in film, which is why I think films like Lord of the Rings, Nolan's films tend to be my favorite films because
On
the
an
score
emotional
plays
level,
such a huge part of it.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I can't relate to that.
I agree that on an emotional level, the music isn't really doing much. Because when I think of the music, I do think of like a couple action scenes where I think it just goes like crazy into like the jazz piano, and that's sort of what I like about it. But at the beginning as well, when it's setting it all up, there's this like really nice piano sort of music. I think if we talk about this later, I think they're sort of inspired by the Nine Inch Nails Hurt. There's like a very similar piano part in that song. That it reminds me a lot of what's happening in Logan at the beginning. Like when I think I might be wrong in this, but I think the scene where he's like getting the bullets out of his chest, like right at the beginning. I don't know. I like the music, man. I don't think it has a very emotional crescendo or anything like when he dies and whatnot.
Yeah,
but it's just cool.
I guess I never really am like. I'm never really listening. I'm so wrapped up in what's going on and seeing these people get to the end of their life, and a man right struggling at the end, someone who I've known since my childhood.
Yeah.
Like it really is
Literally the year we were
emotional
born.
link for me and this character, genuinely. So it is definitely some bias, but I have grown up with Hugh Jackman playing Clawman, stab, infinite heal, sassy for my entire life, and watching this old dude get hacked away and try and carry this child to safety, even though there is no safety, and that doesn't exist for all, but then it does exist in the end, which is kind of weird. But what was I saying? What I was saying is I'm just so very much wrapped up emotionally in what's going on that the music doesn't really seem to hinder my viewing experience because I have, and insane, exceptional
I
emotional
have
bias.
I have
towards
cried
this.
at this film a couple of times.
I
I didn't
think
this
in the
time,
cinema, I
but
might have shed
So
a tear, perhaps, but I
yeah,
didn't this
so
time. No.
the time that I watched this, so yeah, the previous viewing I did, that is in the one for this podcast, I did cry at the end when I can't remember her name, Logan's
Laura.
daughter, Laura. Yeah, when she's reading out when she's reciting the quote from Shane. Good film, by the way. I'd recommend you both watch it if you haven't already.
yeah, never seen that.
Uh,
Shane, the western
Shane,
they
it's
watched.
it's the film, it's the western that's being played in the
yeah.
hotel room, and
Perfect
that's something else I
choice.
really like about it because, um, you know, they're referencing, you know, the film Shane, which I think is ultimately about the sort of the reluctant hero, like the guy who happens to arrive in a town and the town needs his help, but he doesn't go out searching for glory. He just happens to stumble across it, and in that moment, he then makes
That
the
literally
choice
is
to
all
be a
of
hero.
Wolverine. He doesn't
Yeah,
want
exactly,
to do this.
and
He just has it thrust upon him time and time again. Although he
Yeah.
is fundamentally a good person. You can tell
Oh no,
that.
he is, but he's not somebody who goes out there like in search of glory.
He
Like he
also
happens to come
doesn't
across.
really have that much of a regard for the sanctity of human life, I will say. There are a lot of people that he could have not brutally murdered and could have instead knocked out that he chooses to brutally murder.
Yeah, maybe
But
a
this
little
ha- this is
headbutt
like-
with his metal skull instead
Maybe
of
a little
stab with
headbutt,
his
maybe a little.
knife.
He wouldn't necessarily need his claws either, because his like fingers are
Yeah,
made
he's
of adamantium,
metal.
so he could literally go and punch people in the face.
Yeah,
He's a
and
metal
he's
man.
ripped.
He could, and he's ripped to shreds. He does not need to put his giant metal claws through the brain of 45 different people throughout the course of this
Did
movie.
you
But
count
most of them
it?
I don't give a
Did you
fuck
actually
about,
count
though.
the kill count?
I will say in the first scene, he does not need to murder every single one of those guys. I kind of wish
Fuck
he
them.
didn't.
Like they could tell he
few
was
of them
old.
drive
They
off.
were
and-
just trying to steal his tire.
Well, they do
They
shoot him first, and they don't know that he's
Yeah,
going to come.
like-
They did kill him
Sure.
in their eyes.
Yeah, I have no
Sure.
sympathy for them. Like they got
Okay.
zero.
A couple of them
sympathy
escape.
for me.
But still, I don't know. Over the years,
Also,
Logan,
he's
he
visibly
could
an
have just
old
figured
man.
out- No, only one guy escapes that fight. He kills 8 people there.
Yeah, but he's visibly an old man, and yet they were willing to like beat him up.
That
and
doesn't
obviously
really
then
give
shoot
him a pass, though, because he's still a god, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's in from their standpoint. Like they're willing to.
He also doesn't heal as good anymore. So, like, if he's sort of fighting for his life to a degree.
Still fucking beast.
Yeah,
But
you're
even when
not
he's
you're
not
not
fighting
wrong.
for his life, this is a broader point about Hugh Jackman playing Murder Man.
Yeah, murderer. He's a murderer.
X-Men movie.
But that's what the film's about.
In every single one of these movies, he could definitely choose to knock people out, and I kind of wish he
Yeah,
did, but he
but-
doesn't care. And this,
But that's the point, because he's like, "Hey, my daughter,
ties-
don't be me. Don't
this
kill everyone."
ties back to what you were saying. He's not actually seemingly front to his core as, like, I would say Superman or Captain America are truthfully hero on a human level. He is just somebody
Or even
very
Batman.
capable that is slightly a good person. That like Wolverine fell into a good crowd with Professor X.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
Yeah.
After 100 years of violence,
Yeah, and he's like 1,000 years old. he's, really,
he's like 200 years
He's-
old, I think.
and his older brother
Yeah, I
was
think
like
he was
a
born in the
lunatic
1800s.
mass murderer.
Played by Troy
he fell-
Sivan.
He fell. Yeah, he did. He was played by Troy Sivan in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he's fallen into bad crowds before that he's walked away from. Stryker, who's also in Succession, who is also co-starring with Brian Cox, who is also
Striker.
Stryker.
Oh shit!
Again.
Yeah.
There you go. Full
That's
circle.
funny.
Anyways, I'm done talking. Someone else say something.
I wanted to ask you both, what did you think of Professor X's death? Because I personally found that underwhelming. I thought
I
that like the
know.
last
Devastating.
words of it.
It's
Yeah.
I'm devastated, but Matt, we're biased. We're biased.
Oh, well-
You have to like take
No,
a step back for a
BBC.
moment.
I also grew up on the Wolverine on the
I don't think I'm
X-Men
biased.
films. Like
It's
I actually
fucked up.
did like the X-Men films.
Sad as hell. Why is it underwhelming
just-
then? He gets murdered, and then Hugh Jackman's like, "Don't think it was me." That makes me fucking cry. When he's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Yeah,
That makes
no,
me fucked up.
No, I like that side of it, but I don't know, like his final words where he just says the Sunseeker, and then he just dies. I think. What?
But leading up, but his like, do you not find it sad when he's like, I've had the most perfect day,
Yeah,
and I don't deserve it.
So sad.
It's fucked
It's
up.
so sad.
So
but
you know what?
But Ben,
Something I did find moving was when when they're at the dinner table and he says, "I used to have a school. It was for special needs kids." And he
That's a
turns to
great
Logan and
scene.
says, "He was there. He wasn't a very good pupil." And like, I think that's
pupil.
really, really endearing. And I think, like he says, this is a glimpse of family life, and you could have it, Logan.
Annoyingly,
And I think for me, I just wish the film had, I don't know, like more warmth, and I wish there was more, if you like, opening up between.
There's so much
Patrick
warmth
Stewart.
in this. You can't say there's.
Yeah, exactly. It's
There's so much warmth in this.
It's those sparse moments of warmth that make it much warmer. Like, it's a very miserable film, but then when there is those moments,
I think there's a lot of warm moments. I think when they're driving around in the car and it's just him and her, and she's just in the shops and she's trying to buy something, and she doesn't understand the concept of money, and she tries to murder this shopkeeper. And then Wolverine's like, no, bad, not okay, don't do that. And then he's like, do you have an iPhone charger? And he's like, yeah, over there. And he steals the iPhone charger and he grabs a cigar and he marches off. There are so many moments of warmth and levity.
I mean, I think that's levity. I wouldn't say that's warmth, because for the characters themselves, they're not having like the best time. He's sort of like stressed out in that scenario, but we find it funny. But
I will say, yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, go on. No.
You go. Oi.
Okay.
You go, mate.
I was going to say that I wish it was just her with no backstory and it was random and it was a mystery, her past. I don't like all the cutbacks to the hospital. And
it's definitely
Richard
a bit
E. Grant,
cringe.
by the way.
I
wish he wasn't in this.
I hate him.
Who's this?
Richard E. Grant playing the bad
I don't
doctor.
know.
I hate him in this.
He doesn't need to exist in this. He doesn't
sucks.
need to exist in this. He doesn't need to be there. I don't like
the
the
degenerative
I don't
brain
know.
disease and the most powerful brain. Fucking shut up.
Heliosymptomatosis
oh my god. What is that?
What is it? I'm sure I wrote down the exact quote. But you know when he
hate it. Nonsense.
What does he say? I think he's in the hospital and he's telling off the nurses for giving the kids birthdays. And he says, no boo-boos allowed. Simply no need.
We
don't kiss boo-boos. Yeah. With patent and copyright. Anyway,
in this film.
Speaking of, Ben, did you notice any anti-capitalist themes in this film?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there are, but it's not the core of it. Like, yeah, the antagonist works for a corporation.
It's the core of it. It's the core of it. Who's the antagonist?
It's a
corporation who has used weaponized foods to wipe out
foods.
Haroon. He manufactures foods that has wiped out the mutant gene. He's genocided mutants via capitalism. He also runs a for-profit medical company.
X-Men characters. It's a love letter to my
it's
revealing
the driverless
the
trucks.
writer's philosophy.
Auto trucks.
Okay, so
it's nonsense.
It's revealing of the philosophy of the writer, but I don't think it's the core of the film.
Also, Ben,
because I think
it's also very Trumpian. Agree with that?
They do literally say Trumpian? This is the corn syrup that makes you feel better.
The whole film.
And it makes me really want to try that corn syrup. Where they're walking in the field, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, do you know what that corn's for?" And it's like, "Oh, it's not real corn." And they're like, "Oh, it's for like Monster Energy or something." And the Monster
corn
Energy
syrup, which has a massive monopoly in America, where they don't actually use real sugar; they just use corn syrup.
Yeah, there's lots of anti-capitalist sentiments, but I just want to watch this movie and miss my Wolverine movies. That's how I see this. I see it.
Doesn't make it a worse film, though, does it?
Primarily, you're saying the core. I don't know. I think
it's the good versus evil dynamic in the whole film. Superhero movies about villains and heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, and I agree that they're depicting like a capitalist entity as the evil one, and I think that's revealing of the writer's philosophy, and it's definitely there.
But it's also of the time, though, isn't it? Because 2017, Trump's just been elected. No, set in the future.
Oh,
Trump's just been
2029.
yeah,
elected.
2029.
The second main villain, or the main villain, is blonde-haired called Donald, and he's chasing Mexican children through America after they've escaped his cages.
That is quite funny, isn't it?
Oh, you're talking about real life now. I thought you were talking about
No.
the film. Like,
No,
That's
we're
the
talking
film,
about the
buddy.
movie. He's called Donald.
what? Who's the
The-
blonde
the
guy chasing
Boyd-
Mexican kid?
Boyd Holbrook is called Donald.
Sorry.
He's blonde.
Sorry.
He's
Is he?
chasing Mexicans. Yeah,
Literally, that
Wait,
literally
wait a
is
minute.
happening.
When did this film come out?
2017.
Was it?
March the 3rd,
Was that-
2017.
Just a year before the general election, where Donald Trump
After.
won and wanted to put a wall up. A year after.
I didn't
sorry.
realize he was called Donald, but that is a funny parallel. But no, I
mean,
think
he's a
this
comic
film.
character.
Yeah, I think this film is much more about. Oh, this is going to sound so obvious, but it's like aging, and yeah, fuck it. Like, you guys tell me what this film's about, because I think
Well, it's
the way
also
I think
about the
it
genre
is-
as well. It is definitely about aging, but
Love
it's also
letter to
very
my
tied.
wonderful Wolverine.
It's tied to the death of the comic book genre as paralleled by the Western.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I was actually going to say, yeah, I think one thing this film does get right is it does emphasize like the reluctant hero. I'm not so much thinking of this in terms of a theme, but the fact that they reference Shane and Logan, and pretty much in all of Logan's solo films, like I said, he's not somebody who's, searching out glory or anything. It just he happens to come across a bad situation. He has the ability to stop it, and he does, even if he does so begrudgingly a lot of the time.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think what annoyed me with this film so much was that I don't know. I was just so hyped for it from seeing those two trailers, and like you said, I hands down think that Hurts trailer is like it has to be the best trailer I've ever seen. Like at
I
least
can't think of
the
a
one that
better
I
one.
like watching the most. Yeah, genuinely,
Yeah.
I can't think of a better one either. And I don't know. It's almost like it gave me expectations that were just too high because I just thought the film didn't live up to it for me. But having said that, on previous viewings, I have cried at the end when his daughter is reading out that quote, and I love it at the end where you have the Christian cross and she turns it over so
yeah,
that it's got the Wolverine
that's
X.
good.
I think
It's
that's
obviously
really
very on the
really
nose,
nice.
but it's awesome.
No, but
that
I
made
think
me
it's really
cry.
touching. Like
Yeah.
that's really moving. But for some reason, I don't know why. Just like The Dark Knight Rises, I didn't find the ending moving at all this time round. But I know on previous viewings it has been moving. But yeah, I don't know. Weird one because yeah, I don't know. I think it could have been better, and it just didn't quite have it all for me. Is what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I think it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. I've got a note here about how I find it quite I don't know, it's quite a nice message of, throughout the film, Logan keeps holding up all the comics and being like, it's ice cream for bedwetters. This is like, this bullshit. And so, wait, sorry, let me see. So he thinks that it's given them a false hope, and he's like, they think there's this haven because some dickhead was trying to profit off our life story. But in reality, it hasn't given them a false hope. It's inspired the hope because these kids have come up reading this film, these comic books. Sorry, fucking hell. They've read all these comic books and they've decided that that's where we're going to go for our safety. So it's given them the hope rather than inspired a false hope in them. It's sort of the other way from what he thinks, which I think is nice.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I guess as well as the reluctant hero side of things, there's definitely a lot in this film about hero worship. And again, going back to Shane, and like, the reason why is because there are parallels, and that's the reason why it's referenced. So I haven't read the book that the film is based off, but if you do read the book, apparently it's all from the perspective of the boy that you see at the end of the film, and it's all about his perspective of seeing this guy walking on horseback. Shane, yeah. It's all about him. Yeah. So it's based off a book. I think it's only something like 140 pages. It's not very long at all. I do intend to read it one day, if not pretty soon. But from what I've heard from people who have read the book, they talk about how the book is really focused on this issue of hero worship and how, the role the heroes play in a child's life, and really the role that they should play in, your entire life, but especially at that point when you're a child and you're sort of looking around for figures to look up to. And I do like how this film does that. And like you said, Logan likes to trash on the kind of the commercialization and the sort of fanfare around the X-Men. But, like you said, it does actually inspire a lot of hope and actually does end up leading to these kids having enough
leading
hope
to
to
10
eventually
more movies.
save themselves.
Leading to
10 more
Deadpool and Wolverine.
X-Men movies. We just don't need...
So-
we didn't need more. I
so-
thought this movie was supposed to finish it. That's the whole point of this. And it really is so sad to me that
Unfortunately, it
this
made
is the last
$800
one that
million,
exists.
so
Exactly.
it's
So
never going to be the
alright,
last one.
We'll do 10 more then.
This is the ultimate question I have for the two of you. Does
Ooh.
the fact that he returns in Deadpool and Wolverine cheapen this film?
No. It's not their.
Massively.
It's not James Mangold's fault.
Massively. Ooh.
It fucking cheapens it.
It doesn't for me.
So much more.
It makes me
does.
hate Disney and Ryan Reynolds.
It makes me.
But do you know
hate
what?
Disney and Ryan Reynolds, and it does. No, Matt, don't lie. Like, come on. This is
It
supposed
doesn't.
to be.
It just
Wolverine's
doesn't. You haven't
final-
even seen
like,
Deadpool and
Hugh-
Wolverine. Yeah, but he came back the
I
next
don't
year
need
in
to- I
X-Men
don't need to.
Apocalypse.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. He shouldn't have done
Yeah?
that. Apocalypse, is he in Apocalypse?
Yeah.
I think he might have a cameo. He always has cameos in some.
Yeah,
X-Men movies.
he's in a cameo. Yeah, he does a murder scene.
Yeah, Ben. For me personally, I haven't seen the Deadpool. I haven't seen the Deadpool. Let me talk. I'm talking about this, Matt. I haven't seen the Deadpool Wolverine movies. I don't have to watch them to know that it's fucking shit and that Hugh Jackman went and did a cash grab after doing.
I'm not
going to
deny that.
heartfelt, an incredibly heartfelt, emotionally packed love letter to the character that he'd been playing and made his career for the last 20 years, that touched millions and millions of people all around the world in this incredibly perfect movie. And he should have been like, right, that's that. I'm not going to do anymore. And it is shameless to come back and do Deadpool Wolverine.
I will admit,
it is absolutely shameless to do this and then do that. It does cheapen it massively for me. It's like, well, what was
Maybe
this for then?
I will admit, I think for me, it's not. Like, I think the reason why I don't like the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine happened was because it necessarily cheapens this film. It does make me think differently of Hugh Jackman, because like he has said in various interviews that you should always,
at the end of the day,
you should always
he's just a
leave your
dumb
character
actor.
when you have a little bit left. And like you said, this was heartfelt, even though I didn't feel it as much as I think as I could have done. It was still a heartfelt movie,
But
and I
unfortunately,
think it was the sign off, and there was simply no need to actually return to it. But you want to know what I think cheapens it even more, and maybe you don't know this about Deadpool and Wolverine yet, maybe you do. But it's the fact that Laura returns in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, that's lame as well.
When that is so
spoilers.
stupid.
God, watching that
like,
would cheapen
who
this a
cares?
lot for me then, yeah. That's really bad. I'm glad I haven't seen it, and I won't ever watch it.
Yeah, you will, because me, you, and Jack are going to get drunk and watch that before I go to the other side of the planet. Anyway, I was going to say it's the best. Wait.
No,
The best joke in Deadpool. The best joke in Deadpool and Wolverine is when he defiles the grave of Logan. I'm just like, yeah, you have to do it. Like, if you're doing this, you might as well go dig this corpse up and throw it about. I'm just like, yeah, I respect it for doing that, because they're doing it anyway.
That's funny.
They might as well literally defile his corpse.
Play with his grave, yeah. With his grave. That's funny. I'm going to say one thing as well, and I think that I said that he's shameless, but at the end of the day, we are all shameless for a price, and he was probably paid £100 million to come round and fuck around with Ryan
It was
Reynolds
probably a
and
lot,
make poo
yeah.
jokes on camera. So yeah, he's a dumb actor, but at the end of the day, he will be able to support his great grandchildren endlessly with the amount of money that he made doing that one shoot. So no shade on
I don't
Hugh
think it
Jackman.
makes this film
if he wants
worse.
to come onto the podcast once, like Matt's moving to Australia. If you're watching this, Hugh, we love you. welcome anytime. You can come for
just on Hugh
season
Jackman.
4.
I think he's a decent, well-rounded actor. I'm not sure if either
I
of you
love
have seen
him.
or like The Greatest Showman, but I was impressed with him in that film as well.
I like him in Prisoners.
He's great in Prisoners.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's a good
It's
actor.
funny
do
that he's
like
like a
him
musical
a lot.
theatre guy as well.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all are though, aren't they? All right, back to Logang.
Back to Logan.
Yeah.
Logan.
The
Hooray,
seizure
did you say
scene's
you had one
great.
more- The
Sorry.
war scene.
All those scenes are fucking brilliant,
The
aren't
seizure.
they? I love the
Oh, yeah,
idea
they did do that well.
of a super weapon, mind control telepath becoming more and more mentally unstable to the point where he can't control the extent of his incredible powers, and the fact that he has done so much
Degenerate
good.
brain disease in the world's most dangerous brain. What a combo.
I fucking hate that line.
was
Richard
good,
E.
Ben.
Grant needs
That
to
was
shut
very
the
good.
fuck up.
I really
That was a
quite
good
enjoyed
impression.
that.
Thank
Well
you.
remembered, like
It's got to
word for
swallow
word
every
as well.
word.
Yeah, he did not need to be in that movie, but this movie is good, and I like the fact that they made Professor X a dementia crazy person. And I think
That was a
as
cool
well,
concept, to be fair.
Yeah,
That was a
really
very cool concept.
Yeah, very well done as well.
Um,
Very well acted.
What did you think of Stephen Merchant in this film?
I like Stephen Merchant every time I see him on camera and when he talks. I just like who he is, and I like he most of the time Stephen Merchant is just playing Stephen Merchant, and even in this he's just playing
Yeah.
Stephen Merchant. He's just an Albino. You know what? I'm sorry, just to come back to something. The funniest fucking moment in this movie is when Lord of the Rings, when Logan comes in to see Professor X and he's going crazy, and then Professor X is like, "You can't believe you left me with that fucking albino."
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention this
horrible.
before,
Pretty
but I
rude.
didn't like the fact
It's
that
so
they
rude.
made Patrick Stewart swear. Like, there's something really off
like
about that character.
racist.
I get that this is now 15 and that he's, got a
He
neurodegenerative
can
disease,
swear.
but
He's literally
it doesn't-
gone insane.
it doesn't
What are
fit
you
with the
talking
character, though.
about?
The fact that he just keeps
Yes,
saying,
it does.
he keeps saying
He-
fucking this,
his
fucking
character
that. I think,
killed
He
about a
killed
million
all of
people.
He killed all his
students.
friends,
doesn't
and
know-
he's
He went
been
a bit
locked
off the
in a
fucking-
fucking.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about? He can't
He's
say
a-
a couple
he's
of
living a
swear
miserable life.
words. He's literally looked after by a dying old man that hates everything, and an albino man that doesn't. He betrayed his own species for generations, and then wants to try and do some good by looking after a man that fucking hates his guts, and then also Professor X killed all of his students, is suffering from dementia, lives in a shithole, a shitty, dusty shithole, can't get any happiness.
Yeah, he
He's
can say
allowed to
fuck.
He's allowed to tell someone to fuck off. Yeah.
fair,
It just.
fair.
Yeah, it's definitely fair.
Yeah.
We'll
I
lock
don't
you
know,
up
I
in
just-
a box with an old man that fucking hates you.
I don't know. I guess really early on when you forget that context or aren't aware of it the first time you see it, there's just something
But you have a
strange
problem
about
with
hearing
profanity.
Patrick Stewart swear.
But you have a problem with profanity generally.
No, I don't have an issue with profanity. I think it can be pretty
You
funny.
do. You
but
do.
it needs
I've seen
to,
it in your
needs to
Letterboxd
suit.
reviews. Well, I've seen it in your Letterboxd reviews. You see, there was
Well,
like
I
a
don't
comedy
swear.
movie that you reviewed that you're like
Wicked letters
really good.
or whatever.
If you don't like avoiding the profanity, you actually have that. That's there.
You did
That's
write that.
in black and
That's
white.
from your
I did write that
review.
there, and I said if you don't mind it, then go for it.
It's a comedy.
And I don't
movie,
mind
though. Like it's just funny. It's so funny. You are such a character. Anyways, yeah. Professor
For the
X can
record, I don't
swear
mind
on camera.
profanities. It just has to suit the people saying the profanities.
I think
And I just
anyone
don't
can
think
whip
Patrick
out a
Stewart
cheeky
suits it very
fuck.
well.
I think he does. I think him going completely batshit crazy, him swearing is the funniest thing to me. It
I
is
like
so
when he
funny.
does when Logan's like, "Show me you took the pills," and he goes, "Bleh."
That is funny. That does suit him.
It's a good bit.
I also, I will say this. I wish that Patrick Stewart wouldn't always be so willing to take them. Every time he's given them, he's just like, all right, yeah, in they go. He should just be
No,
like,
because
I
he's
don't
like
wanna take
hiding them as well. He is like that. He doesn't take them. He's like he stuffs them down in the
Oh.
seat, and that's what leads him to having the seizure in Vegas.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm stupid. That's
Yeah,
stupid for me to not notice that.
Yeah, and at the beginning.
This is me really nitpicking here, but when it stands out, it needs to be called out, and that's the CGI when the limousine is trying to drive through that fence when he's
Oh.
escaping.
Yeah,
They-
sure.
Yeah,
I thought it
definitely a
was
CGI
really
car.
poor.
I like that he couldn't get through that. I think that sort of
Yeah, it's
is
quite funny.
nicely symbolic of Logan's character. He should
Like,
get
if you're gonna
through.
do
He
it-
definitely should get through, and it just isn't all the way there. Which is actually like exactly what happens in the final scene. You know, and he's charging as hard as he can, and then eventually, like no matter how much gas you have in the tank, it eventually does run out. Oh damn! It's kind of a good scene now. CGI is bad, but I don't know. I guess you can make anything work. It's sort of the point of art. It could be interpreted in any way. Like I did just make that work, didn't I? And it is sort of a dumb scene. It doesn't really need to be there. Sorry, Ben, you were saying something.
Well, no, I don't
interrupting
mind the
today.
fact the car couldn't get through the fence. It's just when it cuts to that shot of the car, like when it's very clearly CGI. I don't know. It took me out of it a fair bit, and the fact this was made in 2017, and previous years there was much better CGI. I don't know. You just could have just not shown that scene. But to be fair,
Also,
I thought the
I don't
CGI
like
was generally fine.
I don't like the train trope where it's like we need to get past the train and the bad guys will be on the other
The
side of
longest
that
train in
Although
the
I do-
world.
I like
actually think that
it's
was
a classic
really
Western
cool.
thing. It's a classic Western thing, isn't it? That and the movie's like obviously harkening back to Western times. That's one thing about the movie. It's a nostalgic film. The whole film is nostalgia, 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 and I think reflecting that into the Westerns probably definitely amplifies it as well. Seeing as they spend half the movie in a desert too, it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Goal. Yeah,
Should we
the
do our
Western
ratings?
stuff all works. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna say I like the Western stuff. I like the cycles of violence stuff and the industry on violence and how some men know only violence and can profit off violence, but then they find themselves in a world where violence is no longer acceptable. You know, I'm replaying Red Dead 2. It's all about that.
Again.
No,
Or are
I
you
still
still
haven't
playing
finished it.
from the
I
la-
just still haven't
That's
finished
still
it.
going
It-
from the-
for 6
wow.
months I've been playing that. Yeah.
Fucking
To be fair,
that's
I've
brilliant.
way slowed down though. I play it like once every 2 weeks now, but yeah.
I'm picking up a PS5 soon, and when I have that, I'm just going to sit down. I think that's what I've been missing here in Swindon. Is just a console so I can like relax. Yeah,
Makes sense. Yeah, I like it. Should I do my ratings on both?
yeah. Go on then.
I forgot what the first film was. I literally was like, what the fuck did we just talk about?
It's nothing, man. It's nothing. It's like an advert for a better movie.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dark Knight Rises 7 out of 10. It can't possibly be more than that. It was fine.
7?
It's watchable. I enjoyed most of it.
Haroon,
It's just
your
like
reaction.
nothing.
A 7.
It was, yeah.
A 7. Can I have a look?
basically just
That's
okay.
so dumb and stupid.
How?
It
Well,
can't
you-
be a 7.
Alright,
If we
I'm
go
gonna-
through some of your letterbox reviews, you're going to have to drop that down now.
No, I stand by it. I
Are you
really
actually saying
debated it.
no? You're saying no, I won't drop that down.
Yeah, I'm saying no. I'll go through my letterbox. Like, I'll show
Go
you
through
what it's
Letterboxd,
like
find
surrounding.
a movie that's 3.5 star,
Yeah,
and I'll
I'll do
tell
that
you
right now.
how much better that movie. Didn't you give like the? I think you might have given The Menu 3.5 stars. The Menu is better than The Dark Knight.
The Menu, I think I gave 4.
You gave The
Let's have a
Menu
look.
4.
I think I gave that. I think I might have given that
would
either 3 or 3.5. actually.
Menu's getting 3.5 for me. I like The Menu.
Okay,
I
it's
think
in the
it starts
company.
off really well.
It's in the company of It Chapter 1, Bullet Train.
It Chapter 1 is so much better than The Dark Knight Rises. What are you talking about?
Alright. The
It Chapter 1 is
Departed.
like actually, well, it's better. It's not like much better. The Departed.
Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1. That's a 3.5 for me, apparently.
Yeah, you can give that. Doesn't matter. Those could be anything.
Alien, the new Alien movie, whatever that one's called.
Alien
Romulus.
What?
Some of these
That
are on
was
tripping,
easily
though.
That was easily a 4.
No way. No,
You're talking about Romulus,
no.
aren't you?
Yeah,
I'm
not
excited
at
to
all.
watch Alien Romulus.
Trap.
I love the
Trap,
Alien
3.5 star.
Yeah. So same as
I've
Trap.
not seen it.
It's the same as
Dark
Trap.
Knight Rises is the same as Trap, is it?
Zombieland.
I guess they
Some
are.
of these I'm tripping, man. What am I talking about?
Zombieland 1 is fucking 10 out of 10 perfection. I like Zombieland. It's not 10 out of 10 perfection. It's
Toy Story 4, 3.5.
Five, okay.
Ocean's 8.
Toy Story 4
Toy Story
maybe
4 was surprisingly
4.
good.
Yeah, it's quite good. I don't seen Oceans. I don't like the Oceans movies. I'll say that. Not for me. I like heist films.
The Ocean movies are good. I've only actually seen 11 and 8, but yeah, I don't know. I stand by it.
Crazy. There is a mad Don Cheadle English accent that happens in the first one. No one remembers that.
Of course.
All right. Sorry to break you there, Matt, but you are.
Dark Knight Rises,
so
7 out of 10. I'll stand by it. It's not 6.
Right.
Like, there's more that I enjoy than a 6. And yeah, Logan, I'm going to go 9 out of 10. Used to be a 10, but it's just not anymore. 9 out of
10. I'm going to go next because I'm against this. Dark Knight Rises is a 5 out of 10 movie. It is middle of the row. It's fine. It's acceptable. I accept it. It's watchable. It's what a movie at its absolute like baseline thing should do is, can you sit down and watch this thing and maybe forget about the outside world for a bit? The answer to that is yes. So that's why it gets a 5, but then anything else that could push it further than from that does not exist. Anyways, so Logan is going to be
hang on a minute, we do Dark Knight Rises first, then we do...
Oh, shit.
Next one. Yeah.
Spoilers.
So, if it wasn't for the beautiful, beautiful IMAX cameras and the great score by Hans Zimmer, it would just be a standard 6. It's a fine film, but it's definitely elevated to a 7 in my book because of those two things. But let me assure you, those two things definitely elevate it by 1 point because they are, especially the cameras, amazing. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for me.
There. Like that.
And Logan?
That's you. We've looped back to you.
I already said it.
Did you?
I already said 9. And so did you, Haroon.
Sorry, I fucked it up, didn't I? Haroon, what did you say for Logan? I thought we were doing individual films first. I cut you off.
Yeah, then I just believed you and deleted my memory from when I said 9 and Matt said 9. So that happened just then. So Matt, you're saying 9, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying a 9 as well. It's a 9 because Richard E. Grant does piss me off, and I wish that whole scene in the school didn't really exist. But yeah, there's just those two things. Otherwise, I like this one.
Logan, I think it does a fair few things well. I like the fact that it does have the parallel of hero worship between that and Shane. But like I said, music is really, really important to me. And I just think it lacked it. So it's a 7 for me, boys.
Ooh. If you had to choose which is the higher 7, which is the higher 7?
Really? Is this real?
I think... I don't know. Because I think the issue is that with The Dark Knight Rises, I've seen it more times, whereas Logan I've not seen as many times. So I guess if I had to go on faith, it would be The Dark Knight Rises, because I wasn't bored. No. It just didn't do anything.
Ben,
like,
you forget like, we do work together, so this is just like creating problems, isn't it? Why are you saying The Dark Knight Rises is better than Logan? Actually, you take that back now.
I don't even think it is better
than Logan. It's just not, man.
It's
just stupid.
I think they're both. I think they're both films that are fine.
Listening, that
I think they're both films that are fine.
You are being stupid.
They've both got things going for them, but I think they're both flawed as well.
Logan's a better movie than The Dark Knight Rises.
In fact, I
don't
even think I don't even think I disagree with you.
Say it's better right now.
Like,
say it's better.
I'm not going to say it's either better or not, because I honestly don't know if it is better or not. But what I will say is that when it comes to my enjoyment of them, it's the same.
Ben, just forget everything now. Just say Logan is better. Logan is better than The Dark Knight Rises. Just say that. Just say that. Just say it now.
Ben.
Never.
Please say it. Oh, this is so upsetting.
I don't think either of them are miles ahead or behind the other. They're both fine.
Like, how could you say that?
I think on the edit, you're gonna see that you've had so many more criticisms of the Dark Knight Rises, and your main criticism
even
is
said.
not that
We
your
haven't
opinion's
been-
invalid, and that I'm not telling you to change your mind on it, but like. Your main criticism of Logan is that the music didn't move you so much, and your main criticism of Dark Knight Rises
this
is
the
that the
thing.
plot is fucking
It's an
stupid
IMAX
and
camera.
ridiculous.
But this is the problem, right? Music is clearly really important to my enjoyment of film. I think it's
So you wouldn't like a musicless
Interstellar.
film?
I wouldn't say I dislike it, but I think it'd be at a severe disadvantage compared to others.
So you wouldn't
Like
enjoy
music's
like a
important
play.
to me. I don't
Say,
do the
like,
theatre. That's the thing. I'm not a fan of theatre.
A motion picture.
Well,
You're
that's
so,
that.
So I'm sorry. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It really isn't that. Ben, can you just say it's an 8?
No, I can't. Well, it's
Can you
wait,
just
hang
say
on.
it's an 8? Just say it's.
So you want me
Please,
to?
make this go
That's like
away.
giving it like a participation trophy. That is
Give it
just
a participation trophy then. Give it an 8 right now.
no.
I'm not walking away from this until your mind has changed. Will I have to change your mind right now? Is that even plausible? Is that possible for me?
Okay,
to do
which
that?
one? If gun to your head, you have to watch one again. Which one are you watching right now tonight?
One, no, to keep forever in this world. To keep forever in this world, which one are you picking?
Oh, to keep forever in this world, which I think is different to me saying which film I prefer.
To keep forever in this
I
world.
would keep Logan because The Dark
Okay.
Knight Rises simply didn't need to exist, whereas Logan knew
and
at
now
least
to keep for
closure.
you. And now to keep for you in the future of the.
No, you have to
movies
watch
that
one
you-
again now.
Right now.
Oh, right now.
It would be Logan, but mainly because it's shorter.
That's enough of a dub for me. He admitted it.
It's not that
Logan's
much
better.
shorter.
It is
It's half
shorter.
an hour shorter.
So of the two movies, you'd keep Logan in this world, and you would remove The Dark Knight Rises, and you would rather watch Logan next than The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, but
and
in
so
terms
now,
of the
and now, if I were to ask you which movie is better, see if we can just push you along.
nah,
Can you
because
please
as
just say Logan's
films,
better. This is ridiculous.
nah.
Just say it's better, man, because it is. You know it is. It's emotional. It's heartfelt. It's beautiful.
But
The
this is
acting's
the thing.
amazing. It's
I
so
just
cool.
don't-
It's such a cool concept. It's an amazing way to attempt to tie off a long-running story about Hugh Jackman playing this character over and over again, and the ending of superhero movies in and of itself. It's so symbolic of that in the culture that we live in. And The Dark Knight Rises isn't any of those things. It's symbolic of nothing. The acting is bad. The plot is bad. It's not interesting. There's no themes. It's like
Can I give you
There's
a
not
caveat?
no themes. You're going too far
okay,
here, buddy.
okay. Comparatively,
You
comparatively, there's no themes. But
I
there's certainly
will give
themes
you-
in The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, there are.
Okay,
Political
so I'm not going
message.
to I'm not going to compromise on this, but I think this will make you feel happier. If
No,
I
you
had
will
never
compromise on
seen,
this.
if the Hurt Logan trailer never existed, I think I probably would prefer Logan. But the fact that that trailer existed and that trailer did and continues to do
can't
so much
com-
for me. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to watch that trailer right after we finish recording because that trailer is fucking sick. There,
It
I
is
said
great.
a profancy. Yeah, it
There's a
is.
profancy.
Do you
it
not
is
swear on this
amazing.
podcast? Is that your first swear on this podcast?
It might. Nah, it can't be the first one.
Do you not
Maybe
swear?
one of you
Are
want to
you
go
not
back to the
swearer?
archive. I don't
Yeah.
usually swear, no. But
Keep
that
it clean
trailer
up,
is
Ben.
amazing.
I swear
And
every
I think,
other word.
But
Sorry.
I think because
Every
that
other
trailer is so
fucking word.
amazing,
Yeah, I missed the
I
opportunity
think
there.
while it did wonders for its marketing, it does prove to be a drag on the film. Well, for me anyway, when I actually watch the film. So that's going to be my one disclaimer. If that trailer didn't exist, I probably would prefer Logan to The Dark Knight Rises. But it does, and it just reminds me of how much better that film could have been if they used music properly.
If they used more Johnny Cash.
So if the music
Yeah,
was
they
really
needed
good,
more
then
Johnny
it-
Cash. Then they have him at the very
Okay.
end
They
of the
should-
credits, and they could
they
have
should have
used him
put that in
more.
it.
Why didn't they
Yeah.
use him more? It's
God, this-
perfect. Old man.
Why don't
Logan.
you?
And
when you
James
watch this,
Mangold
just-
made a Johnny
just
Cash
play
film.
it yourself. Play
And Johnny
some
Cash is
music
in the new
over it
James
yourself.
Mangold film. Yeah, he made Walk the Line, and he's also in. Johnny Cash is also played by Boyd Holbrook in the new Timothy Chalamet Bob Dylan movie, also directed by James Mangold. So this is his third Johnny Cash movie, I guess.
Why didn't they include more of him? It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
Do we want to do this bonus segment on Hurt versus Hurt?
I don't have too much to say on it. All I will say is that I, by far and away, prefer Johnny Cash. Like, it's not even close.
Am I in the minority here?
I actually didn't listen to it. I can go and listen to it later and then give it my feedback in the next pod, I suppose. But I'm on wrapping it up now and calling it a 10.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I just like that both of them. One of them's about a heroin addict, and one of them's about an old man reflecting on his life. But they're both saying the exact same words. Also, Rick Rubin knows what the fuck he is doing as a producer. It's really immaculate and impeccable.
I have heard of that guy. Has he written a book on creativity?
He's just
probably. He's a big beardy man.
Culture and music.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've heard people recommend his
book. Music. He built the sound of modern music. He's arguably one of the most influential.
Arguably so.
People
and he says he doesn't know anything about music and can't play any instruments and is completely talentless, but he's somehow amazing.
Clearly untrue.
Well, I don't think he does play any instruments. I don't know, man. I don't know how he.
Could
I don't know how he
believe
does it.
that. I don't think the Alchemist can play any instruments, but I think with modern software,
sampling,
anything is possible.
He's just got a good ear.
Bit of Rick Rubin in Logan would have pushed Ben's 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 probably. If you really require music in movies, which is weird because there's more to movies than just music, right? There are about
I agree.
10 other things, and 4 of those things are much, much more important. But yeah, it's about, I don't know.
You've got to remember that with these ratings, and I think we should help clarify this for our listeners. When we give ratings, we are well, I don't know about you two, but I'm literally talking about if you have like a joyometer for when you watch a film, that's the rating I'm giving out of it. So in that sense, I got just as much joy from watching Logan as I did from The Dark Knight Rises, because Dark Knight Rises had a plot that didn't make as much sense, but it made up for, I thought, with the visuals and the music.
I don't know.
Logan made more sense.
I think, we could probably maybe talk like later in another episode because we should wrap things up now. But there is a difference, I think, in your ability to enjoy a film and mine in that.
I think we all have different rating scales as well.
Yeah, well,
I was going to say because you rate films, I think the highest generally, Matt.
Yeah.
Whereas
a film pretty much starts for me at 3-star, and if I hate something, it goes lower. I love watching films. I just love them.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing
it. For me, it's different.
And going on the journey. And if that journey, like the shit I hate is like fucking Free Guy. That's what will get a 1-star for me. And the shit I love, like most movies, again, they start at 3-star. Sometimes they'll go lower.
Movies that go against your values. Free Guy definitely goes against your values. It's a capitalist cash grab.
It's an evil, weird fucking freak of.
It's an evil film to make.
It's not art at all.
Yeah,
I thought that film was fine. But I remember getting a few laughs out of it. Actually, I thought it was fine.
Taika Waititi.
Oh fuck! I don't like that guy. I
like
really
Taika
don't
Waititi
like
a
his
bit.
Films.
I like him a lot.
I like
It's good.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit's pretty good.
I really don't like his humor.
Boy. I like Hunt for the Wilder People. But yeah, I don't.
To be fair, I still haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, and I have friends who will defend Taika Waititi to their dying breath. And whenever I say I don't like him, they always say, "Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?" No. Watch Jojo Rabbit before you comment on it.
What have you seen of him?
Free Guy.
He did the Guardians film, at least one of them, and then he did Thor.
He did the
Ragnarok.
worst Thor movie possible. Oh no, Ragnarok's really good.
No,
sorry, I thought
no. See, so this is what I cannot understand about people who defend Thor Ragnarok and then shit on, what was it, Love and Thunder? They are both equally shit. I do not understand how people
Ben,
say
that
one's
Ragnarok's
way better
good.
than the other.
Yeah,
they're
Ragnarok's
both
much better.
Unbelievably shite. I hate them so much.
I didn't watch that other one.
Unbelievably shite. That's not true.
I mean, all the MCU movies.
You're factually wrong to say that Thor Ragnarok is an unbelievably shite movie.
That stupid joke that Mark Ruffalo says when they're flying over Arcadia, and he says, "Oh, what was it? Oh, fuck, I can't remember it. Something like
kids' movies, though, mate.
I know, but it's no, but it's not even that because I like Shrek. I like Toy Story. They're kids movies. I like The Incredibles. There's just
Shrek
Yeah, but the MCU's particularly just fucking idiot brain
infantile.
stuff.
I hate it.
Is
I
Shrek
hate
a
it
kid's
so
You
much.
should go watch Hunt for the Wilder People, and then I think you'll like Taika Waititi a bit more. But yeah, we
It's
need
on
to
Disney
wrap the fuck
Plus. I have a feeling it's on Disney Plus.
up. I don't know.
Okay, we're wrapping up.
Bye, everyone. That's the end of the episode, and there'll be no more. This is the end of the podcast because Ben wouldn't say Logan's better. No, next week we're doing a Razorhead and following. We meant to do that
Ben,
this week,
just
but we're not
say,
doing that.
can you just say it's
Oh,
better?
yeah.
Just say it's better. Ben, just say it's better. Go on. Come on, please. Go on. Just say it's better. Say it's better, then we can
Say
end
it's
it.
more gooder.
Yeah, say
More
it's
good.
much betterer.
Bye, everybody.